Yo, what is up guys? Del Boy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, Eduardo Nunez from Mexico is crowned the new IBF Super Featherweight Champion following his, I would say, dominant victory over Masanori Rikiishi over in Japan, fighting away from home. Fighting for the IBF title, which was vacated by Anthony Kakache, of course. Nunez was Kakache's mandatory, but Kakache thought better of it, and he chose to fight Lee Wood instead. And on the basis of this performance, you can kind of see why. Eduardo Nunez, 5'6", stocky fighter, and he's very strong. Decent gas tank, he's got power in both hands, relentless style. One thing I liked about him in this fight, He maintained his shape pretty well throughout this bout. I actually felt Rikiishi did okay at points in the first sort of 3-4 rounds. Bear in mind, Rikiishi going into this fight was a lot taller, a lot longer. He was a much bigger man in there. Rikiishi is 5'10", 71-inch reach, or 71.5-inch reach, plus he's a southpaw, whereas Nunez is 5'6", with a 68-inch reach. So Nunez was having to overcome a lot of physical disadvantages in this fight, and despite, early on Rikiishi trying to move and trying to box/counter Nunez never really got frustrated. He kept on applying the steady pressure, tried to keep his hands up the best he could, while still taking risk, and eventually he was getting closer. He was starting to find a home with some vicious body shots, two-handed attack when he was up close, uppercuts from both hands, chopping overhand rights, left hooks, great variety, great variation, and he was a pit bull that Rikiishi just couldn't really hold off. Going into this fight, I'd seen a little bit from both fighters, and while I made Nunez favourite, I was still somewhat sceptical on how he would deal with the height and reach of Rikiishi, but I felt he did remarkably well. Stayed close to him throughout this fight, even in the early rounds where he couldn't always get his punches off. I felt he was making Rikiishi work hard with his constant presence, his constant pressure. Rikiishi, as I said, started okay, I felt, landing some good counters, some good straight long punches, some decent jabs. But as the fight progressed, and especially once it went past 4, that's when Nunez really started to dig to the body. He started to get closer. He started to land more shots. And throughout the second half of this fight, there were moments where I felt, Rikishi's about to go here. Maybe one more punch in the perfect place might send him down or might badly hurt him, to the point to where the ref jumps in. But to Rikishi's credit, man, he stayed strong. He gave it a really good effort. Showed a very good chin, by the way. Good conditioning as well to take all those punches. Rikiishi showed some good bits in there, very, very tough, but he just couldn't really deal with the relentless pressure of Eduardo Nunez. He just couldn't keep Nunez honest, and it's one of those performances to where you can see why this guy is avoided, because you're going to have to get this guy's respect. He's one of those sort of fighters, man, and you're going to have to fight this guy off at times. And ultimately, while Rikiishi tried at times, he just didn't really have the ability to do that, ultimately, and he was kind of run over as this fight played out, but showed great toughness, like I said. Nunez, impressive patience, impressive punch placement. He's actually very methodical. He's a pressure fighter. He brings a lot of aggression with a lot of power, but he takes good care of the placement of his punches. He very rarely spams like speculative combinations. He's relatively accurate. He's got very good punch technique. He turns his shots over very well, generating good torque on his punches. He follows through with the knuckles, actually a correct puncher. He does sometimes overreach with his overhand right, and sometimes he'll cuff with the left hook, but sometimes I think that may be a tactical ploy, because, you can see him throw correct crunching left hooks to both body and head as well, so he's quite creative in regards to his offense. And from what I've seen of his previous fights prior to this, I know he didn't get the stoppage in this fight. He's a very good finisher as well. He's kind of like Mexican style merged with a little bit of like kind of like that, like Uzbek style or Kazakh style, you know, like Golovkin. Or I'm not saying he's as good as these guys, by the way, but he's got that kind of systematic approach to his game. It's not just gung-ho recklessness. He does the basics well. He throws punches with good technique, good jab, decent guard, good balance is one thing I notice about this guy. Pretty good balance. And he can counter as well. He can throw a shot off the back foot also, but primarily his game is to go forwards. But he is now the IBF Super Featherweight champion, and I think he's in good stead already in this division, I have to say. When I look at who's around at Super Featherweight right now, you've got Anthony Kakache, Emmanuel Navarrete, Oshaki Foster, Raymond Ford. I guess those are the other top guys in the division right now. And while I haven't seen as much of Nunez than I have of these other guys, I was very impressed with what I saw in the Rikiishi fight, and I've been impressed with what I've seen from Nunez's other fights from what little I've seen. I would make him favourite over Raymond Ford, Oshaki Foster, Emmanuel Navarrete, and Anthony Kakache. I think he's favourite over all of these guys. Navarrete, he's so hot and cold these days. I'm not convinced by him. I rate Navarrete, but just too hot and cold. Kakache having a great Indian summer in his career, but I think there's a reason he avoided that fight. In fact, he said it himself. There wasn't enough money for the risk that was involved. I think Nunez is too strong, too powerful. Oshaki Foster, again, I don't think Oshaki can fight Nunez off for 12 rounds. And same goes for Raymond Ford. I think with Raymond Ford, he might negate his attributes and get involved in a tear-up like he did against Nick Ball. If he does that against Nunez, he might be seeing stars. But I like what I see from Nunez. That systematic, kind of cold, ruthless aggression. You know, it's not gung-ho though. It's very calculated, which I like. There's a bit of method there. And he's only 27 still. He's 27 years old, so he can still get better. Hopefully he stays at super featherweight for a long time. You know, he's 5'6", he's stocky. I think he's the perfect size for the weight class. And we'll see where he goes from here. We'll see where he goes, but I was impressed. So yeah, Sinaloa, Mexico's got a new world champion. Eduardo Nunez, Sugar Nunez. And nothing sweet about that power, though, I'll tell you that. That power is nasty. But anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy. Peace.